What up, everyone? Welcome to Chiquis and Chill, your favorite podcast. Thank you for coming back again to listen, to learn, to grow. Today's episode will be just you and I, the mic and I. And I'm going to be talking about evolution. I have been doing a lot of reflecting lately, and I've realized that I've changed quite a bit. And I've grown a lot, not necessarily as an artist, but as a human being. And that's what I want to talk about. Because I always say this, we are evolving creatures. We are meant to change. We are meant to grow, to mature. And I've realized that I've done quite a bit of it in many areas of my life. And I want to talk about these topics in different seasons, in different ages of my life. The first one is mental health. I can tell you that right now, as I'm older in my 30s, it's been like back and forth for sure, where I feel like I'm good and then I'm not good. And then 30s have been beautiful, but very like, I don't even know how to explain it. Especially with mental health, it's something that people speak about more. Like we hear about it more often. People are feeling a little bit more vulnerable, I guess, to speak about it, which I think is a great thing. So I think that's why I've realized that my mental health, especially in like my 30s, has been more prominent. I want to say, obviously, in my teens, I didn't really think about that. I didn't really know. If I was sad, I was sad, and there was a reason. Now I feel like as I'm older, sometimes there's no reason, and I'm just a little like sad, and there's nothing that necessarily triggered it. I don't know if it's hormones. I have no idea, but I want to say that now I've dealt with mental health in a different way. Now I know, okay, I'm a little sad. I'm not going to let this turn into weeks of sadness. I'm just going to feel it. I'm going to try to figure out, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to do something that's going to make me feel better. But obviously when my mom was here, I feel like in a way I was happier. I was more confused. I didn't know exactly where I was going to go, what I wanted to accomplish in life. But I wasn't like, I don't know. I guess I was oblivious to it. And if I was sad, there was a reason. There was something that had happened, maybe an argument with my mom and I, or whatever the case may be. But obviously my life changed so much after my mom passed away. And that's when I feel like I learned, oh, this is what depression is. A little bit before she passed away. But I'm grateful now that I know about therapy, that I know what makes me feel better. I know what self-care is, what self-love is, and it's a huge priority in my life. And that's how I deal with it. I've realized that this is just part of life and we can't escape it. There's so much going on in the world that all we can do is find tools to deal with it. And that's kind of where I'm at. That's my relationship with mental health now. But in my younger years, quite frankly, very different. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what depression was, what anxiety was. Now I hear about it more. Now I can recognize it. And that's how I deal with it now. But I think it's very important to come to terms with the fact that we are not the only ones. You're not alone in this. We all have, I think maybe even after the pandemic, that's where I feel a lot of us were uncertain about the future and anxiety kicked in and depression. But I think it's important to figure out what works for you. What maybe works for me may not work for you. Like there's times when I'm sad and I'm just like, I'm going to lay in bed and I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to put some sleepy music on and that makes me feel better sometimes. Or I'm going to take a bath. It's important to kind of grow and learn whatever it is that works for you, you know? Healthy things though, because for a long time in my early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, I realized that I was trying to cover up my sadness with alcohol. And I was suppressing my feelings and trying to numb certain things and just get through the day or get through work. And I was drinking a lot. And that's not healthy either. So just make sure they're healthy things, you know? Learned healthy stuff. Okay. Oh, my relationship with my mom. Okay. How have I evolved in that area? Well, for a very long time, when I was, a child, teenager, I was very, I guess you could say, afraid of my mom. I never wanted to disappoint her. I was afraid to be myself completely. I felt like I couldn't because she was like the queen of my world. And I never wanted to show her the real me because I didn't know if she would like me. So I was for a long time trying to be everything she needed me to be. And so when I could be myself around my friends or people I did feel, I guess, more comfortable around, I remember her telling me, you're fake. But it wasn't that. I was just afraid. And that came with my people pleasing, with seeking her approval. And I never really had the chance to show her who I really am. I don't think I was able to step into my own power until after she was gone. And that makes me a little sad because I think when I moved out that same year, my mom passed away, we were able to have a mother-daughter relationship. But for my entire life, if it wasn't for the kids, my siblings, it was for one of our businesses. And there was always business with my mom. So I had a very short period of time where we can actually go to lunch and go get our nails done. I want to say like maybe 4 months, 5 months. 5 months of my entire life, guys, to experience that mother-daughter relationship. And I'm not going to lie, it was a little awkward. I'm like, oh, I'm at lunch with my mom and we're going to go get our nails done. It was like, we didn't even know what to talk about because, she really wanted me to spread my wings and I didn't know anything else other than taking care of her and my siblings. So it was very awkward, but it was very nice to kind of step back and be like, oh, I can talk to my mom about things, and now, obviously, as I've gotten older and I'm, in my career and stuff, I am more considerate, I guess, more compassionate of her feelings and how she was, and not necessarily be so like critique her so much, because now I know what it is to be a woman and to be in this industry and to feel the pressure that I'm sure she felt, which made her the woman and the mother that she was because she was a single mother. So now it's different. Now, instead of being upset at her, I'm more of like, I understand you, mom. It comes with age. It comes with going through your own experiences through therapy, where you just completely let all of your feelings and you're able to have someone with an unbiased opinion step in and let you and help you see things like from another angle. And it took a while because, again, I've told you guys so much here on the podcast. I was very upset with my mom for a long time with how things were left. And I was left to clean up the mess and try to figure it out. But all that stuff, everything that happened really like kicked things into gear for me, where I had to step into my own power and protect myself when I would always look for my mom to protect me, and it's been a hell of a ride, guys. These past 12 years have been insane and I've grown so much. And now more than anything, I'm like, I had the perfect mom. Like I had the perfect mom for the type of child I was, for the type of teenager I was, for the woman I am today and I needed to be. I'm grateful. And instead of being upset and pointing fingers at her, I'm like, you know what? She was just out there doing her best. And I did live a long time. Even while she was here, I was kind of mad. I was like, dude, why? Why am I the oldest? Why do I have to be so responsible? Why do I have to do this? And now I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much that everything that I went through and how tough she was with me and the lessons that she taught me, even till the very last day where we weren't speaking, it was her still teaching me to be the woman I need to be without her even knowing. Like, it's the craziest thing. Like, and it takes a lot of healing, guys, to get to that point, because I could sit here and be like, oh my God, this happened to me. And I could be sad. And like, yes, I was very sad for a long time, but I wanted to step out of that and I wanted to grow out of it. And now all I can do is just thank God and thank my mom. And I wouldn't change anything, as crazy as it sounds, because of so many things that I've been through and how hard things were when she left. I'm grateful because it really put this fire within me to just want to be my best self, to make changes, to be different. And yeah, it's crazy to think about. I mean, we don't have enough time to get into all the details, but that's my relationship and how I have evolved thinking of just the relationship of my mom, or with my mom, should I say. So not us crying now. My relationship with my dad. Ooh. That one's a little tough because I didn't spend a lot of time with my dad. I think my dad was out of my life when I was 12 for 10 years. He was on the run. And all I really remember is him being a pretty good dad, you know? It's weird because I should be, quote unquote, I should have been more upset with my dad because of what he did, because he sexually molested me, right? But I never really was. And that's weird. Especially when it happened, I don't know if it's trauma. I don't know, but I really was never upset with my dad. I was always more mad at my mom. And then that changed when my mom passed away. Then I suddenly became very upset at my dad because he wanted to kind of step in and say, hey, I'm here. And I'm like, well, why now? Now that my mom's not here, you think you could take advantage and manipulate us? That's what I thought. Not knowing that he was like, hey, I just feel bad. I wasn't a present father. Your mother's no longer here. I feel like I need to at least let you know I'm here for you and your siblings. And it hurts me that you guys are going through this. And I didn't see it that way. I just became very angry. Like I was like, no, don't get near me. I'm telling you, I was so upset. 2013 was I was just upset at the world. And the crazy thing is I forgave my dad a long time ago. He didn't ask for forgiveness until just recently, but I had already forgiven him. And I don't know. I think the relationship with my dad is just, it's just weird. I don't know where it is now. I do feel better because he asked me for forgiveness, because we are on talking terms. We're cordial with one another. And I'm very proud of myself for that because I never held a grudge. And I have my mom, I owe my mom that because my mom was a very forgiving woman. And she taught me that, to forgive. And I think that's why, like, she never told me to hate my dad. You know, she always said, when you guys are older and when the time is right, I will take you to go see your dad. She would tell Jackie that a lot, because Jackie, my sister, would cry a lot for him. But anyways, I don't know. That with my dad, it's like I still have yet to figure out what's going to happen from here on out. Now that he apologized, now that he recognized what he did. I don't know if I necessarily want a relationship or need a relationship with him. I don't know. I still have yet to figure that out. So I have to get back to you guys on that. But I have a lot of peace in my heart when it comes to him. I don't judge him. I'm no one to judge. I'm like, God, that's what you got to do, you know? But now it feels nice to have peace with both my parents, with my mom and my dad. And I think just having that, even if they're not physically with me and in my life every day, just finding peace within myself to have peace with them and step back and try to put myself in their shoes has helped me heal so much. So it feels so nice to have peace with my mother and with my father. It's like the best gift that I don't know, this year has been a tough year, but it also has given me so many gifts, and that's one of them that I'm like, finally, I'm like, I could rest in knowing that I didn't have the most horrible parents. You know, they were, you know, my dad just, I don't know. I can't speak for my dad. I don't know. That's a hard one, but anyways, I have peace. So that's good. That's evolving and growing and maturing and not holding resentment with either one of them. Oh my gosh, it's so liberating. So liberating. Okay, so this is a good one. Relationship with food. OMG. That has definitely been a topic of conversation since I was very young. I think I noticed that I had an issue with food, my relationship with food. I must have been around, I don't know, 10 years old maybe, when I started gaining weight and realizing that I didn't look like all the rest of the little girls at school. You know, they were thin and I was always thick. I could literally wear my mom's clothes at that age, at 10. I would share clothes with my mom. And I think it had to do, now through therapy, I've realized that the relationship with food has been because I think since the sexual abuse, you know, and it made me feel good. Food made me feel good. And I would forget about everything because food was just delicious. I didn't realize that until like, I don't know, a few years ago. But also I had a lot of issues with constipation. Still deal with that. I don't know if you guys understand me, but it also has to do with me holding things in for so long, which is why I love my podcast so much, because I'm able to just speak about everything and anything. But for a long time, I didn't. I kept in a lot of things. And that also affected my relationship with food. But now I could tell you, as I've gotten older, I used to just feel like, oh, I can eat whatever I want. And, you know, I'm young and it's not going to affect me. That was my thinking in my 20s, even my early 30s. Now I can tell you that I've realized that I can eat anything that I want. It's all in moderation, in portions, and also picking things that are going to fuel my body instead of making me feel good temporarily. And that took a long time to really say this is a lifestyle. I was all about diets for so long, but that also came from my mom. I think my mom suffered with her weight and, you know, and that's her obviously story to tell. And I, you know, but I know that my mom had this dark cloud over her all the time that, you know, I need to lose weight and my kids can't be big. And I think we all have this relationship with food because in our household, we felt so limited for so long. It was, you know, imagine being an 11-year-old kid and all you can drink is non-fat milk. I couldn't even have 2%. Like it was like a thing. And so we would sneak food. I would sneak food. My stepdad, Johnny and Jenica's dad, he would go to the store. He's like, I'm going to go pump gas. Do you want something? Because he knew my mom didn't let us have treats. So he would bring me a brownie or he would bring me chips and I would hide them. I was like a closet eater because my mom was, I don't want my kids to be fat because I suffered with that and I don't want them to suffer. But without her knowing, it like backfired because we were doing it. Like at school, I would go across the street and have chili cheese fries because I knew I wouldn't be able to have that around my mom. So I was like hiding. And now that I speak to my siblings, they also would do the same thing. Jackie too, she would wake up in the middle of the night, she said, and she would eat, you know, and sneak her food. And I'm not mad at my mom because again, she had her own things that she was dealing with her childhood as far as food goes. But as I've gotten older, I took that word diet out of my vocabulary. I don't use, oh, I'm on a diet. No, I'll do fasts, you know, a lot. But as me, like, oh, I'm on a diet. I wanted to do all the diets in the world. I wanted that fast magical pill that was going to make me lose weight real quick. And I wanted everything so quickly, so fast. And that's kind of the world that we live in anyways. Like we all want that quick fix. And I've learned that it's longevity. It's a choice. I can either have steak with vegetables or I can have steak with macaroni and cheese and mashed potatoes. And I'm like, no, I'll taste it because I don't want to deprive myself because depriving myself as a child didn't work. Again, it backfired. And now I'm like, I'll have a little bit of everything. But in reality, I want to feel good. I'm fueling my body. My body needs nutrients, not just I want to feel good right now. It's really making that choice and knowing that it's a lifestyle. And that took a long time to get to that point and serve myself a little bit. Because even when I was on a diet, I would eat a lot of the good stuff. And that's not good either. Another thing, before I didn't want to weigh myself. I'm like, no, I'm not weighing myself. The scale is not my freaking friend. Now I'm like, the scale is my friend. The scale wants to tell me it's all numbers. Numbers don't lie to you. If I'm not eating well, if I am not taking care of myself, it's going to show on the scale. And that's just the truth of it. When before I would just I don't want to think about it. Now I have a healthier relationship with the scale as well. I'm like, okay, once a week, I'm going to visit your ass, little scale, because I want to keep myself in check, you know? But it's a lifestyle. It went from diet to lifestyle, and it's changed my life. And don't be afraid to indulge here and there. Like Monday through Friday, I'm going to eat as healthy as I possibly can because I want to feel good, because it's a lifestyle. But on Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to give myself, I want to have a little pizza. I'm not going to have 3 slices. I'll have 1. It's all just in moderation, guys. The next one is marriage. Okay. My relationship with marriage. For a long time, I never wanted to get married. I had this negative idea of marriage and how it just didn't work and how husbands cheated on their wives. I saw it in my family, almost all my family. And it made me very scared. My mom's relationships didn't work. And for a long time, I feel like I never was that girl, was that like, oh, I want to get married. And I dreamt about my wedding and the wedding dress. I was never that girl. And then I got married the first time. And I thought that I was ready. I wanted to be ready. I ignored a lot of red flags. So I can't blame that person completely. There's things that I take full responsibility for. But after that relationship and how it ended, I really was like, you know what? Marriage is just not for me. It's just not for me. I want to have a different boyfriend every year, because the first year of every relationship is the best. It's the first Valentine's, the first birthday, everything. The first was just so exciting. Like, I love that feeling of being courted, of when that guy is just trying to do everything to impress you. I love that. So that's why after that, I was like, I want a different boyfriend every year, because that's it. I'm not going to give my heart to anyone. Until I started saying, okay, in reality, I want to be in a relationship. Being single has never really been for me, because I like that partnership, that companionship. I want to go to the grocery store with that one person. Like, I do better in relationships. So when I realized that, I'm like, okay, this is unrealistic. Like, I don't want like 3,000 freaking notches under my belt. That's not cute either. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I went to therapy, and I stopped looking outside of myself. And what does that mean? I'm like, I want to heal myself. I want to be better for Janae. I want to be happy. I want to have a healthy relationship. I want to be what I need to be in a relationship, but for myself. And in the past, I would look at everyone else except Janae. I thought I was doing everything right until I realized that I wasn't perfect. And I think once I started looking within and saying, what can I change? How can I be better? What do I really want in a relationship? What don't I want to keep repeating the patterns? It all changed. And I had to get to the point where I was like, I'm okay with being alone, with being by myself, but I don't want to. But if I have to, I will be. And when I spent time with myself, with Janae, I healed a lot. I learned a lot. I heard a lot. All that outside noise, I was like, okay, I'm not going to focus on what he's doing and what he didn't do and how he hurt me. It is what it is. What can I learn from that pain? What can I learn from that relationship? And then everything kind of changed in the thought of marriage. Then it became, well, yeah, I believe in love. Not every man is the same. I'm not the same. We all change. That's what this whole podcast is about, is evolution. And I started opening up to, yeah, I'm down to get married again. If it happens for me, cool. I would love it. I'm not going to be like, no, I'm never going to get married. Like, I could be blocking myself from something wonderful. And then I met my now husband, And I'm glad that I went through that process, that I took that time to heal, that I took that time to spend with myself, because little did I know that there was another person that was doing the same thing. And he had also gone through a lot of things. So when we came together, we were ready to be completely honest. We put our cards on the table. We didn't want to repeat the same patterns. And I think because I was finally changing and I made the changes, and I wanted to be the reflection of what I wanted to attract, that's when things changed, because I feel like I found my person where he's been through his share of shit. I've been through my share of shit. And I felt safe again to love and to say, okay, marriage can work. It could work, you guys. I think we have this thing of like, marriage is hard. I'm not saying that's easy, but it doesn't have to be as hard as society makes it, or as hard as maybe you grew up watching like I did. I was like, damn, F that. Marriages don't work. And if they do, they're cheating on their wives, or vice versa. Like, I had all this stuff, and I'm like, wait a second. I'm going to erase that, all of it. And there's a white canvas, and I have the choice to paint whatever freaking picture I want to paint. Like, I have the choice. I need to also be willing to make changes in my life to make this relationship work, this marriage. When before it was like, it's my world and you live in it. Like, that doesn't work for anything or anyone, especially if you're in a marriage. My whole mentality, my whole emotional like reaction to marriage all changed. But because I was ready to say, I want this. Okay, so another one, forgiveness. I kind of talked about it a little bit with like my dad, that whole situation. Forgiveness has been something that has been so easy for me, to be honest, I forgive, and I have forgotten to a fault, because sometimes some people say, keep a note of what people have done to you, because that way it doesn't continue to happen. I haven't kept like a record of it. I had to start doing that. With, in one of my relationships, because I'm like, wait, I can't forget everything that this person has done, because then I just go back into the same cycle, But now I can tell you right now, forgiveness, I think forgiveness is important. I think I always tell you guys, it's a gift for yourself, not necessarily for the other person. Even if they never ask for forgiveness, I think it is important for you to forgive and just not hold that resentment. Now I've learned to forgive and not necessarily need you in my life. When before it was, I didn't have boundaries. It was, I forgive you, and then you come back, and it's like, and I still struggle with it a little bit with certain people in my life that have done some pretty messed up things, and I still allow them, and I get burned. So I'm still working through that for sure. But now I've learned to put a hard boundary where I'm like, wait a second. If you're not making me feel good at work or in my home, you're not coming into my home. You're not going to be around my work environment, because I need to feel good, But forgiveness, I think, is definitely something that we should all practice and not hold that resentment and that baggage, because it does no good for you. It actually causes illness and depression and so many bad things when you're holding onto things and not willing to forgive people. If you want to be forgiven, then you must be willing to forgive. And I have a whole book on that, you guys. Go ahead and read it. Forgiveness in English, perdón in Spanish. But I speak about it more in depth. But I feel like my forgiveness, if I've evolved in any way, it's just boundaries. Boundaries are so healthy. Being able to say no and putting limits to things and to certain situations, it gives you so much power and protects your inner peace. Like, our inner peace is our responsibility. So what are you going to do? What walls, not bad walls, but healthy walls, are you going to put up to not continue to go through that? And I was just letting people just step all over me, because I was a people pleaser, because I wanted to make people happy. I wanted their approval. I wanted people to like me. When I stopped, when I was like, I don't care if you like me or not, I like myself, dude, I'm a whole other woman. But I don't know how I went from that to forgiveness, but forgiveness is important. Okay, so the very last one, you guys, is finances. Ooh, girl. Okay. I'm going to make it quick because I know this has been a long episode, but finances, for a long time, I was under my mom's wing. I worked for my mother. I had all of the control of my mom's money. I was paying the bills. I was very good at that. Always very good at paying bills and making sure that everything was paid on time. But then I just also had the liberty of just, okay, I have my mom's credit card. I'm just gonna, I was a spoiled little brat, I guess, if you want to call it that. I'm just gonna swipe the card because, and it wasn't always like that because, of course, we went through really tough times. There were times where we didn't have a lot to eat. And we didn't have the luxuries that we had when my mom got more famous and more successful, should I say. So that was different. But when we did, and I had the liberty of using my mom's card, I abused it. I didn't understand the value of money. I didn't understand how important it is to take care of it, how important it is to invest, even to save for a rainy day, And again, I wasn't using my money. I was using my mom's. So it was just easier. And that was one of the biggest lessons for me, was when my mom said, boom, you're not working for me anymore. You're not taking care of the kids. I want to take control of my household. It was very difficult because I was very territorial of my siblings, of my mother, of our things. But in reality, it wasn't ours. It was my mom's. And then I was forced by the world and by the universe to go out and make my own money. And that's when I realized, oh shit, I have to save. I have to not only save, I have to not spend on ridiculous things. And now I ask myself, okay, there are still times, this is something that I'm still I think when I was overworked and I was very stressed out, it's so easy now, you guys, to just swipe and you don't see it. It's literally your phone just has to look at you and they charge you. And I found myself doing that maybe a month and a half ago, where I was just I was just getting a bunch of packages and I'm like, Janae, stop. But now I recognize it. I had to get to the point where I'm like, okay, is this a luxury or a necessity? My bills, I'm very responsible. That is always being paid. But instead of the money that I have extra, I have to invest it and save a little bit of it, because you never know what can happen tomorrow, but not just spend it on things that I don't need. I was just spending, I think, for a long time to fill a void, a hole that I had. And in reality, it's just stuff. And quite frankly, I was buying so much that I didn't even have the time. I wasn't going anywhere enough to use everything I was buying, and it was just there collecting dust. And now I'm better with also paying it forward and cleaning out the closet and not keeping things just to keep them. But I think now more than anything, my finances, my business, ventures, all of that is very different. Now I know what it is to earn my own money. I know what it is to not have any, to feel oh my gosh, if I don't do something, if I don't work and do something quickly, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent next month. I've gone through all of that, but it's also they've been lessons because I've overspent, because I haven't been a good steward. A good steward means taking care of what God has given you, and all of that. I can tell you now that I know the value, that I know the importance of it, that I know what it's important to invest. Still have to ask myself, and this is advice to you guys, sometimes it's just easy to just, I'm going to buy this. No, sometimes it's good to go back to basics and cut back on things. You don't necessarily need everything that everyone has. And it took me a long time to get there. I'm it doesn't make me a better person or more attractive or cooler to have all the trendy shit. No, that's not what's important. And for a long time, I did that. I did it to impress people, to make myself look better, on another level. And it's ridiculous. Now it's silly. Now I'm okay, I want a building. Now I want to invest in my businesses. Now I want to I have so many ideas, so many things that I want to do. Now it's not about buying that materialistic thing that's going to give me, instant gratification. I'm thinking long-term. I'm thinking my future. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And like always, I hope that through my vulnerability and my transparency, you guys can learn and grow and mature. And hopefully I can help you also prevent from making certain mistakes and errors that I have. But you always know you can come back to Chiquis and Chill, and you'll always find an honest place and a place where you can be yourself completely, like I can be with you guys. So thank you so much. And I love you, and I'll see you on the next episode of Chiquis and Chill. This is a production of iHeartRadio and My Cultura Podcast Network. Follow us on Instagram at My Cultura Podcasts, and follow me, Chiquis, that's CHIQUIS. For more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.